This is what I've been working on for the past 4 months of my life. And if you didn't know, I did buy a house. That's where this is at. Whenever I was touring the house and I looked at the backyard and I saw this sloping hill, I immediately thought, I'm building a fire pit right there. Don't know why. I have always wanted a high quality, very large, very cool fire pit. So in this video, I'm gonna be showing you guys how I built this fire pit. And the first thing we need to do is dig a hole. My first thought was, oh, I can easily dig this out by hand and just fill up the low spots in my yard. But I just kept digging and there weren't any more low spots in my backyard. So I decided to spend the money to rent an excavator from Home Depot, and for only 360 bucks, I thought that was a pretty good deal. Next thing I need to figure out is hauling the dirt away. But if you've watched my previous videos, you would be familiar with this old Ford that I spent well over a year fixing up. But seriously, this truck was the MVP of the entire project. I used it to dump the dirt that I dug out. It towed the excavator. It hauled at least 7 tons of rock, as well as other shit. So if you have a soft spot for these older trucks, check out my rebuild series on this truck. I promise it is worth the watch. Anyway, let's get back to freaking digging. So this is what we got. This circle area is where the flagstone is gonna be. That rebar is the center. This orange line, this is gonna be the depth of the retaining wall. So flagstone here, retaining wall here, all the way around, all the way to here, all right? And that's where the slope is at. So it's gonna curve all the way around to here, going down with the slope. I got two swings. This one is for the fire pit flagstone, and this one is gonna be for the retaining wall. 2 strings, that way whenever all of this is gonna be dug out, I got some strings to help me guide where I'm gonna put shit. Yeah, let's we can get the excavator, start digging. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, let's go, baby. Once I started using the excavator, I realized how much more efficient this was, as well as how much dirt I needed to dig up. It didn't take long for me to fill up the first truckload, and before I knew it, I already took 4 full truckloads. After a little bit of manual labor and refining, this is what the hole is looking like. Next step is to get the dirt ready for some rock. Base is level for the most part, so I sprayed outline of the actual flagstone patio, and then this little ridge right here, this gap, is gonna be where the retaining wall goes. So I'm gonna dig shallow trench around there so that the first stone is about halfway buried, and then go up from there. As I mentioned, I'm going to be digging a trench for the retaining wall, and it's recommended to do this so you have around 6 inches of gravel below the first layer. And you also want the first layer of brick to be about halfway buried in the ground. This trench might have been unnecessary since I ended up burying the first 2 layers of brick, but I know that this wall has a solid base and it's probably not going to be shifting for a long time. So with the trench dug out, we're ready to fill it in with some rock. Okay, so I made it home safely. Now I'm in my backyard, and the idea is to put it right there next to the fire pit. So I have to take that panel off, this panel off, and this post right there. So let's go ahead and do that. Fucking perfect placement. Now that I got my rock, I'm gonna be in the process of filling this ditch, and then I'm gonna tamp it down and then level it, and then do that until it's entirely level all the way around. That way, whenever I put on the pavers for the retaining wall, it already has a level base. So it's gonna be super easy for that. So yeah, let's freaking get it. Once I leveled the rock base for the retaining wall, I went to go get some brick, and my brick of choice was the cheapest one at Home Depot. Got this pallet unloaded. I got this first layer ready. Once I put that down, I just need to level each brick. Make sure that first layer is really, really, really flat. The first row have been laid down. I got a little bit up there. Now I just need to stack them. Alrighty, I now have more rock and I can continue on the third freaking way. So let's get it. Oh yeah, that's looking good. The rock you've been seeing me shovel is called number 7 rock, and it's a very common rock used in drainage, walkways, concrete, and fire pits. What kind of base you use and the depth of the base varies depending on who you ask and what video you watch, but I went with a 6-inch deep base and sloped it 1/8 of an inch every foot away from the wall to prevent water from pooling on the patio. And to achieve a slope like that, I used some wooden stakes and string lines to help guide me level the rock. We are this far as of now. Rock is pretty well with the string lines. A few dips here and there, but overall it's actually pretty good. Added some more brick over here to really smooth out that transition to the level dirt. And for the fire pit, I'm just gonna be using these bricks that came with the house. They're not the best looking of bricks, but they're free and they're here, so that's what I'm gonna use. All right, so put together the bricks for the fire pit. Not really a fan of how they look, to be honest. So I got some different brick. 92 of these bad boys, 64 of these bad boys. Let's unstack that, stack those, see if she looks good. Let's get it. Building the first layer of the fire pit was very similar to the first layer of brick for the retaining wall. A lot of hammering, a lot of leveling, and a lot of sweating. I remember it being super hot that day, but we got it done. I definitely think the decision to get different bricks, well worth it. Looks way better than the other bricks. And if you want to build a similar fire pit, I have a link in the description. All of the materials are at Menards, and I think all in, I spent like $200 on the bricks. I think that's a great deal. Well worth the money. It looks great. I got some number 12 rock, 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch. Nice and coarse, but a little finer. That's going to be the top layer to level the flagstone. And then it's also going to go in between the cracks. So the reason why I'm putting more rock on top of the existing rock is so I can have a leveling layer for the flagstone. As I mentioned, this layer is going to be number 12 rock, which is finer than the number 7 rock I use, but it's still coarse enough to not wash away when it rains. Aight. Aight. So this is what we got as of now. I'm gonna rake all these leaves up, then if we can tamp the shit out of it. Then once that's done, moving on to screeding. There is a machine that you can rent that compacts the rock for you and probably does a better job, but I decided to do it the analog way, and let me tell you, it is a crazy good tricep workout. So after I got done getting my pump in, I had my boy Nick help me out. Thank you for helping me, Nick. And we started screeding the leveling layer for the flagstone. And this layer needs to be about 1 inch thick. So to achieve that thickness, I got some 3/4 inch threaded pipe that was roughly 1 inch in diameter. So I basically put that pipe on the existing rock. Nick put the leveling rock in between the two rods, and I used a 2x4 to screed that leveling rock to make sure it was the thickness of 1 inch. It wasn't perfect, but it was definitely close enough, and super happy with how it turned out. Again, thank you to my boy Nick. Good morning. It is currently 5:55 a.m. Got my cheese, pre-sliced. Got my Triscuits, cracked pepper and olive oil, gas. I'm on my way to Chattanooga, Tennessee to get Flagstone. Why am I going there to get Flagstone? Because it's freaking cheap. Everywhere else, locally, is like 1,100, 1,200 bucks for the amount of square footage I need. I'm getting this for 500 bucks plus more square footage than I need. So I can make some walkways, paths and shit. So it's just gonna take a lot of time because Chattanooga is like 5 hours away. So had to borrow my pop's truck. He flexes with the big old F350 dually. Thing's mint. Yeah, I will see you when I load up the freaking walk. Bye. Alright, we loaded. Got about 3,500 pounds fat Flagstone in the bed of the truck. Check this shit out. Nice and strapped down. She ain't going anywhere. Maybe that one is, but that is a full fucking load right there. She's sagging a little bit. Not terrible though. Just got done loading it up. Dude to help me was super nice. Yeah, so I'm gonna be home in 4 hours, 23 minutes. Let's get it. Homeboy is loaded up. You can't really see that, but she's leaning. Take her nice and easy, because I don't think she likes it. She has had 6,000 pounds on her before, so 3,500 shouldn't be anything. Aight. Got the freaking walk here, let's go. Back hurts from loading up the rock. What I think I'm gonna do is just do a rough, just lay down everything. And then on these edges, I'm gonna try to cut the rock with the curve. That way, instead of like just it being straight, 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 it's a nice flow all the way around the retaining wall too. Same idea around that pit. Got my grinder with the masonry blade. Mask, safety glasses. Gonna be cutting these hoes. This step in the project took me a while since it was a lot of trial and error, fitting and finding a slab that would look good in a particular spot. And making it so the flagstones fit properly and aesthetically is a lot easier said than done. I also have a full-time job, so trying to sneak in some time to work on the stone was a little hard, and daylight savings took effect, so it got dark at like 4:30. 5, and I get off at 6. All that to say, it was brutal. Let me show y'all how I'm actually measuring the cuts to meet the curve of the radius, the border radius. So I got my rock, and I basically just line up whatever I want to line up next to it, have a consistent gap, so right about there. But now I need to fix this curve right here. So I'm going to take my template, and then I made this template by just drawing a Sharpie underneath a piece of cardboard whenever it was hanging over the edge of the retaining wall. So I take this template, I line it up to the edge, I'm going to measure the distance from that. About 2 1/4, that's also about 2 1/4. Take our chisel or any sort of marking device, hold the piece of cardboard down, going to mark it. That's our mark. So basically we're going to cut this off, and then this whole thing will slide flush to the radius of the brick. Piece has been cut. So that is looking pretty good. Pretty much close enough to be in a perfect match. Eyeballing it at least. Okay, this is where we're at so far. I got from there all the way around to there. Just got a little piece, the cover still, and then obviously the whole middle. My back really hurts. I swear to God, some of these rocks weigh like literally 100 pounds. Like, it is crazy heavy. Let's just keep getting after it and break my back some more.
I'm going to show you guys how I fit a piece of flagstone in between two other pieces so they all mesh together really nicely.
Sorry, there must have been something in my throat. First, I put the slabs that I plan to cut on the ground, then place a slab that I want to put in between on top. And I mark the bottom slabs using the top slab as a guide and take the grinder to cut along those lines. And once you remove the excess, the slab should fit perfectly. Everything's level for the most part. So I'm gonna be working on this middle, cutting out the edges so the rock can fit nicely in there. Made this template real quick. This is the template. It's like a good 3 hours of just grinding away. So freaking tired. My back is killing me right now. Found the less space I have to cover, the harder it gets to fill the cracks. Because I'm trying to not cut like every single piece, but I kind of have to. So I found it's actually a lot easier to just cut the rock instead of trying to find the perfect rock that fits in the crack. Just find a rock that fills the gap, cut the rock that you have in your hand or whatever on the ground, shed it in there. Yeah, pretty hype. Did a little work off camera, so sorry I didn't record that. About 3 days of burning the midnight oil. Freaking got her done. Got the fire pit ring installed. Rock is looking pretty good.
So this is a time lapse of me leveling the flagstone. Depending on how that slab would sit, my process to level it would change. So if the slab sat above every other slab, then I would remove rock below it and use a rubber mallet to fine tune it in place. And if the slab was sitting a little bit shallower compared to the other slabs around it, then I would add gravel below it and again use a rubber mallet to fine tune it in place.
So it's been a few days since I've been done with the flagstone portion, and now I get to show it to you. But this is with the flagstone down, the rock swept into place. Super happy with how it turned out. Very happy. At. A little bit of update on the brick caps. These gray bluish color guys. Very nice, and I think it matches the flagstone actually almost perfectly. So it's gonna look pretty cool. It's gonna sandwich everything, look really nice. So I got a stack over there. And then I got a paver saw hooked up, ready to go. I was gonna use the rat tail grinder, but it wasn't very precise. So I'm sticking with this guy. Let's get after it. So I think I got a pretty good method going on. This is first few bricks. I'm gonna do it so it's cut. This one's not gonna be cut. Cut on both sides, uncut, cut on both sides, uncut. Next one is gonna be cut on both sides. That way one brick is gonna be smaller than the other ones, but at least it's gonna look nice and consistent all the way across. Pretty freaking hype. The blade on there, the rental that I got from Home Depot is very dull, so it's taking a while to cut, but that's all right. This is where we're at, gentlemen and ladies. Got the caps cut. It doesn't look perfectly round, like, you know, these bricks aren't really matching up that well in the corners, and the cuts I made are a little wonky just because the wall isn't perfectly circular. So I had kind of like went with the shape of the wall, and this one it's a little bit straighter right here and then it curves, but that's all right. Doesn't look terrible by any means. And I glued some of these down already, not coming off at all, so that's cool. Damn, that thing's looking good. And that leads us here. A completed fire pit, ready to have parties on. So if you're thinking about building your own fire pit, it is an incredible amount of work, very labor intensive, and there's actually a lot of thinking involved, leveling the rock and making sure the retaining wall is good, cutting the caps. I mean, it's actually pretty involved, and I can understand why people would charge thousands of dollars for a project like this. All in all, rock, gas to get the flagstone, brick, metal ring, even the tools, some of the tools that I bought. All in all, I spent $2,479.56. Now, I think that's a pretty good deal, considering I did spend like 4 months building it. I'm super happy how it turned out, and it's something that I built, and I can say that I built and show off. I think that's really cool. But I want to know your guys' opinion on how much you think a professional contractor would charge for a project like this. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, and yeah, I will figure out what to do next with the house. Bye.